Welcome back to TechnoSage in YouTube channel. So Qualcomm Snapdragon X series costs only half as much of Intel's Raptor Lake and up to 98% of longer battery life as it comes from Dell Inspiron 13. And yeah, as you can see on the screen here, for video playback on Intel it's 15.45 hours, while that of Qualcomm's it is 29.6 hours, so nearly double, which is interesting. For 1080p, for Ultra HD it's 11.02 to 21.9 hours, which is also interesting. And for 4K OLED it is from 9.95 to 16.8, so nearly 100% increase, like double the battery life, which is insane to see coming from an ARM based CPU. And yes, it's based on ARM, and nearly it's 98% battery life increase, which is interesting overall to see this much. And yeah, and also it cost at the same time way less compared to Intel. As you can see, for Intel's implementation it's from 276 to 293 bucks, for but for Qualcomm, for budget and the predicted cost is 145. So it's interesting to see because we are going to get cheaper notebooks with Qualcomm Snapdragon X series with XPS 13. So overall it's looking pretty nice for Qualcomm. Next up, Intel added G21 BattleMage to one API. It suggests that they will release G21 first, and G21 is going to be the high-end Intel BattleMage GPU, and One API is their repository framework where it has all of those repositories and stuff like that. Next up, AMD's RDNA 4 GPU patches sees merge into Mesa Radeon SI Linux driver, and we see N5 encoding and decode capabilities as it has been shown off. So this just confirms that RDNA 4 is set to be launched pretty soon. And we already know like RDNA 4 will not come with a high-end GPU. It is only targeting for the mid-range, but that's why that's the case is going to be revealed pretty soon, because there's a interesting news which came out regarding RDNA 4 and possibly with RDNA 5, but as you can see there is this patch has been issued. Next up, we have some news regarding latest 6-point leaks, and it is going to be a monster because it will comes with 120 watts of TDP and a 64 GB of RAM support, which is interesting to see. As you can see, this is the labels which has been shown, and as you can see on the screen here, this label clearly states Strix Hello Point mobile APUs, and here you can see it says FP11, which is the motherboard, basically the socket, and it says 120 watts, so it is going to be 120 watts, and it can support upwards of 64 GB of RAM, which is interesting to see. But yeah, it's interesting to see, but these mobile CPUs might have a caveat where it will require a shorter RAM, but we still don't know anything about it. It's just a guess. But 120 watts TDP, it's looking pretty interesting, and this is an overall TDP for everything, and it's interesting because it's for CPU and GPU. It's 120 watts and not for just CPUs. So overall, pretty interesting. Maybe there is a low end segment which can go as low as 45 watts also in low power mode, but the high end will require 120 watts of power. Interesting to see. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. And lastly for today, we have some news regarding RDNA 5 and possibly RDNA 4, and why RDNA 4 has skipped the high end segment. As RDNA 5 architecture might feature a new naming scheme, and yeah, according to a leaker which is known as VJM 47196, according to him, he has pretty much a nice track record and he's back. He also correctly predicted RX 6950X 6X50 XT refresh, so it had a pretty nice track record. And according to him, RDNA 3 actually didn't met its performance expectation, resulting in the big frequency power curve going out of control. This includes, but is not limited to, conducting on-chip interconnect verification for the MI series and sharing R&D costs. The original planned double 182 infinity frame cache was also cancelled. due to cost and power consumption issues. So RDNA 3 didn't met the performance expectation of AMD, and that's why there was reduction. And RDNA 5 will be a clean sheet design similar to Zen series. It might even get a name change, though this isn't confirmed. Hence, there's a need to widen the gap between RDNA 4 to thoroughly conducted case studies and R&D. RDNA 4 is merely a bug fix for RDNA 3, so its performance is still as expected at best compared to 79 XT series. However, there's still an improvement in ray tracing. So overall, it's pretty interesting that RDNA 4 is merely a bug fix over RDNA 3, but improved ray tracing, which we are already seeing with PS5 Pro, which we will see basically. But RDNA 5 will be a Zen moment, basically a Zen moment, because we, as you know, in 2014 when Ryzen launched, it was a big moment for AMD and it changed everything. So this might happen again with RDNA 5, and yeah, it is interesting, and that's why they are skipping the high end RDNA 4 because they want to focus more on RDNA 5. But yeah, that's it from me today. What do you think about the news? Sound of your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll meet you in the next one. Peace out.